So what I'm going to do today, guys, is guide you through both assessing the year, which I know Jessie shared with you already. It's a resource that I've put together to help you assess the year that's been 2020. And then as I go through this framework of taking your vision and really distilling it down to an action plan, I'm going to flip back and forth between the handout that's been shared with you and the main slides. So do not worry if you want to just be with me and be present, scribble your own notes, work live, whatever works for you. I'm going to pause throughout as well and take questions. So I want to keep this interactive. You're not going to be able to define your entire vision and action plan while we're on the call. So I want to make sure that I answer your questions and you guys have the tools that you need so that you can then step away, refer back to the video, use the resources and really kind of make a plan that works for you. So as you have questions, let me just let Sana in. If you have questions as we go, please pop them in the chat box, and at the pauses throughout, I will refer to them for you. Okay, let me get to where I need to be. I'm going to share my screen. From here, this will work. Jessie, are you able to see the participants if anybody is in the waiting room? No, okay. Let me, how am I going to do this? Where are my participants? Sorry, guys, let me just make sure that I'm not going to miss anybody who is still. I'm just going to have to check out in a second. So here we go. Let's bring this down. Wonderful. So we are going to talk today about uncovering your juicy vision for 2021. Now, cooperate slide. I will get in a rhythm, I promise you. Okay. Having a juicy vision, and if you followed the work that I do, you know that I am big into having a very visceral response to the vision that you hold for yourself. But the problem with this is then we also need actionable goals. So we're going to look today at a way to define a really juicy vision that you're excited about on a visceral, energetic level, but also uncouple it from your goals just enough that you can keep that inspiration while being very grounded in your day-to-day action plan. So as an overview, we're going to quickly talk about assessing the year. I'll introduce you a little bit more to just who I am. And then we're going to really dive in and talk about uncoupling. We're going to take some time to define what your vision is. And if you've done this before, still embrace this activity because I want you to really develop an emotive connection. And then we'll look at pinning down that vision into actionable goals. So, assess the year. Do you ever look back? Because often in the speed and the haste of everyday life, we blow past some pretty incredible moments. And often it's only when we slow down and look back that we can really take on the lessons, the realizations, and the growth that comes from where we've been. They say that hindsight's 20/20. But it also can uncover some very interesting nuances in the way that we're living our lives. I, for one, really knew I wanted to coach from when I was about 12 years old. And it took me the best part of 20 years to get there. Now, on some level, and when the imposter syndrome is flowing, it's very easy for me to say, I was scared, I wasn't brave enough to take action. And actually, with hindsight, the path that I took to get to where I am now, the navigating of owning businesses, of competitive sports, and all the things I did in between, brought me to where I am now, a far more rounded coach and far more capable of delivering what I want through my coaching and help people in a way that's far more encompassing than it would have been had I leaped into coaching at the start of my corporate evolving career. And so I encourage you to look back. 2020 has been a particularly interesting year, without mentioning the C word. But what it has done is provided us with an opportunity to really get curious about what's been going on. And 2020 has set us up for a year unlike any other. It's taken away a lot of stimulus. It's forced us to slow down. It's thrust children and other areas, other challenges, working from home, being outside of our regular environment, not being able to see friends or train, in Dubai being in a state of lockdown that required permission to leave your house. But through all of these challenges, and despite the fact that it could be very, very easy to write off 2020 as the year that was and we need to forget, I caution you not to blow past some of the incredible lessons that you will have learned. Lessons like your need to slow down. How many of you found that lockdown was a blessing in some ways because you were going a million miles an hour and you didn't notice? How many of you learned a new gratitude for your children's teachers? Or reconnected with your children, with your partner? How many of you learned the value of, one second, sorry, we have somebody popping in. There we go, Mital. How many of you learned the value of a family meal? Or how important your friends actually are to you? How many of you learned lessons around what you were neglecting and not embracing? What did you learn that you loved in 2020? Baking was the one for a lot of people, puzzle making, time alone, time in the gym. And I'm sure some loves that run far deeper than these surface level pieces. And the losses, whether that was a loss of a job, loss of relationships, loss of the willingness to say yes when you meant no. There's a lot of things that 2020 has taught you that wouldn't have been possible had we not had the year that we've had. And in looking at these lessons, you can really start to move into the new year with a far greater awareness of who you are, who you want to be in the world, and what you actually want to celebrate and carry forward from 2020 into the year to come. If you haven't had a chance to assess the year yet, Jessie has already shared a resource with you, and it's a great tool that asks you some more thought-provoking questions and allows you to reflect on the year that's been. So just before I take any questions or thoughts on the year, I want to take a minute to introduce myself. It's wonderful to see so many familiar faces, but there's also some people here I've not met before. So my name is Candice Ford. I'm a certified CTI life coach and IIN health coach. But more than that, I feel a calling to coaching. At 12 years old, as I mentioned, I wanted to be a professional devil's advocate, whatever that means. I can't tell you either. But I deeply love the work that I do. And I came here on quite an unconventional path. I did the business degree, the corporate job, ran away from that with a beard of stress-induced acne, and started the first CrossFit gym in the Middle East. I went on without any major plan to compete in CrossFit for 5 years, run the region's first gym, and really loved what I did, but always felt called to coaching. And no matter what I was doing with LifeSpark, in my athletic career, I always found myself being pulled into people development. So finally in 2015, I got into the classroom, took the jump, the leap of faith, and got my qualifications. And lo and behold, rolled around 2018, and I realized I was living a life that I'd built for a different version of myself. And I was determined and have been determined for a very long time to live a life that inspires me. And so now I live in semi-rural Thailand with my husband and 2 children and do work that I deeply love without any compromises of myself or how I spend my time. And I really get to do what I love, which is be here with you guys today, talking about how you too can be inspired by your life. So before we leap in to uncoupling your vision and goals, just enough to keep that inspiration alive, I am going to pop out of here, and I want to know if you guys have any questions about assessing the year and how you can really leverage that opportunity for growth. Let me just stop this screen share. Does anyone have any questions around assessing the year? No, shaking heads. Perfect. All right, well then we're going to dive right in. So let's go back over here and back in here. So what does it mean to uncouple your vision and your goals? I find that the people I work with fall into two camps. The people who have these big, juicy, aspirational goals that become incredibly difficult. Big, juicy, aspirational visions that become incredibly difficult to pin down into actionable goals. Or on the flip side, people that are much more goal-oriented and their vision looks like the arrival of achieving a goal, the watch, the car, the house, the 2.4 children, the job. And they become a little bit lackluster in terms of goals because you lose sight of what you're actually working towards. And goal setting can so easily become this strange disconnection of wanting to have something to aspire to. But equally, we know, and there's plenty of research out there, that we want SMART goals: specific, measurable, actionable, repeatable, and trackable. My mind's gone blank. Whatever the analogy is, if your goals do not have a connection to something greater than a to-do list, those days that you don't feel motivated are going to become the days that those goals fall away. But by creating a vision that you can connect back to and that still connects through to your goals is invaluable. And that's what I want to teach you about today. So, feeling and connecting with your juicy vision. Everybody has a vision, whether they can articulate it, whether they can sense it, whether it's so evoking and visceral that it brings tears to their eyes and goosebumps to their skin, or it feels like a checklist and somehow just out of reach. I want to give you the opportunity to feel out your vision. Many people I work with aren't dreaming big enough, or they're hiding behind other people's expectations, obligations, other people's needs, societal norms. It's not normal to want to sell everything and be a digital nomad. It's not normal to sell a successful business and run away to Thailand. And yet underneath that, the vision of what you truly want for yourself is the one that is going to serve you most in moving forward. Before we come to that, I want you guys to sit back for me. Take a deep breath. If you feel called to, close your eyes. We're going to take a few minutes to explore and connect to your vision. I want you guys to find a little spark of juice. If you've done this exercise before, stay curious. Let that childlike fascination deliver more vision to you. As you settle back into your chair, I want you to feel the weight of your body. Your feet on the floor, maybe they're tucked up underneath you. Notice the sounds in the room. Bring your awareness into your head. That's your center of logic, of reason, of rational thought. Notice what's going on. And with another deep breath, bring your awareness down to your heart, your center of compassion, of unconditional love. Notice what's here. With your next breath, bring your awareness down to your gut. It's your center of intuition, of knowing. As you check in with each of these parts of yourself. Notice what's showing up in your body. And from this place, I want you to cast your thoughts forward. 5, maybe 7 years into the future. Far enough that it feels fingertip reach away, but still close enough that you can reach out and touch it. What's going on in this space? Inside your body, in the world around you. Who are you being? What's bringing you joy? As the vision becomes clearer, notice where you are, who's around you, what's special here, what makes you special here. What is the vision that you hold for yourself? How would you describe your essence in this place? What is the life that you aspire to live as the best version of yourself? Your awareness in this place. Explore the feelings, the excitement, the energy. Notice what shows up in your body. Is there a color, a sound, a feeling that's evoked in this place? When you're ready, bring your awareness back to the room. I'll give you a minute to make any notes, or if it feels good and juicy, stay in this place. Explore what's here for you. I'll give you another 15 seconds, and then we'll bring our awareness back to the group. Vision is incredibly important, and it's incredibly powerful. For many people, this is the missing piece. You can adopt habits, boundaries, goals that are acceptable, that are the norm, that are the I should do these things, I should want these things, I should say yes or no to these things. And the reality is you can cruise through life, you can coast through life in that place. But when you start with a vision that honors the greatest version of yourself and the vision that you hold for your future, you start to build a life around an inspiration and aspiration that is going to grow that greatest version of yourself. And when you can show up honoring your vision, honoring yourself, you will also honor everybody in your life because you're showing up with your own personal breed of magic, with your essence, with the greatest version of who you are. And that for me is why vision is so important. Because on those bad days, and there will be bad days, being able to connect back to something that's greater than the situation or the moment that you're in is going to allow you to find that depth of courage and strength and resilience to stand back up and to move on, knowing that you're honoring something greater than that specific moment. The magic here, this is what we want to hold on to. This is what we want to uncouple from the specific goals. And by staying connected to the vision, we can start to create an action plan that's uncoupled just enough to keep the inspiration alive. And this is how we're going to do it. So, you guys will know vision. We've just been in that juicy place. And if you look there to the right, you'll be familiar with milestones and action plans. The bit that connects the two is having your big picture priorities. Just like my carefully selected rainbow images would suggest. Your vision is up in the clouds. It's just out of reach. It's a little bit fluffy, maybe a little blurry around the edges, maybe backlit by some radiant sun. Use whatever analogy works for you. And your milestones and your action well and truly have their roots planted in the earth. They are there, they are grounded, they are actionable and measurable, and we're getting them done. But how do we connect these two things without grounding out your vision or without slinging your action plan up into the air and not grounding it? This is where big picture priorities come in. They allow you to honor and express your vision while also connecting into this earthly place of having an action plan. So we're looking to pin it down now. Your big picture priorities become the expression of your vision. They're tangible, they're practical, and they're real. They speak to your vision directly, but they also inform your milestones and your action plan. Milestones are a lot like goals. They're the expression of your priorities. They're specific, measurable, and supported. Did you see how the tone of my voice changed? We're coming out of the clouds and we're coming down to earth. Last but not least is the action plan. Specific actions. And if you've done any of my non-negotiable or self-honor work, your action plan is going to be supported by your season, your non-negotiables, and always connecting back to your vision. So let's start with big picture priorities. I'm going to explain this. I'm going to share the worksheet with you, and then I will come back out and take any questions. So if anything's coming up, pop it in the chat box now. Big picture priorities are the expression of your vision. They're the practical application of who you long to become. And while your specific goals may vary, these priorities typically will stay largely the same and they will honor your vision. The times that I will see big picture priorities change substantially will be with a significant career shift, with the arrival of a partner or of children. But for your big picture priorities, much like your vision, for them to change, there has to be a fairly significant life event. So these are going to feel pretty broad and pretty overarching. But they allow you to create goals around who you want to become. A good way to think about your big picture priorities is the main areas of your life. You'll see there on the right, I've shared my big picture priorities with you. Fulfilling and impactful work, loving and connected tribe, thriving health and wellness, beautiful home and lifestyle, abundance and wealth to support my vision. Whilst there's nothing specific about these, you can see now how these are taking my vision, which is to live a life that inspires me, filled with beauty, light, and energy. Very up there, right? And for me, I can see the colors, it gives me goosebumps, but I can't set goals to that. So by having these big picture priorities that for me, draw a circle around the things that are most important in my life, I provide an opportunity to set goals, to honor these priorities, and ultimately the vision that I hold for myself. So let's see how efficient I can be here. It's not going to happen from here. It's going to happen from here. There they are. So the first document that's going to support you here is expressing your vision with big picture priorities. As you can see, you've got a space here to write your vision and then each of your priorities. You don't need to do all of these now. For the purpose of workshopping this today, we're going to focus on one priority. So if you have an idea about what you want your family life to be, your health and wellness, your work, your play, your charity work, if there's a priority that you have, pop it in here. And then I am going to pop out. Can I open the chat from here? I can. There we go. What happens if you can't figure out your vision? How or where would you begin? So Mazahel, what I would do is actually start with what you do know. So what do you know about what you want? And sometimes it can actually be helpful to start with what you don't want. Sometimes we have to back it in, especially when we've been living, feeling quite bound by obligations or expectations and not knowing what we truly want for ourselves. A really juicy place to start is what you don't want. And by starting to narrow in the boundaries of what you do want in your life or what you don't want, you start to create a sense of who you are, what you know, and cultivate trust in yourself. And for some people, it can be easier to start with the big picture priorities. What do you want from your work, from your relationships, from your home environment? What are the things that are important to you? What are the things that aren't important? And by distilling these things, you can squeeze out a vision of what excites you. Are there any more questions around big picture priorities? There are no silly questions, my lovelies. And of course, if there's anything that you don't want to share within the group, I will make sure you guys have my email at the end of the call so that we can speak in a more private setting if that works for you. Okie dokie. There we go. So even if it doesn't feel sexy or the wording doesn't feel quite right, write down one big picture priority. One thing that you know is important in your life, and you can come back and refine it later. Computer, there we go. So the next thing we're going to look at is milestones. Milestones allow you to start pinning down your priorities, start putting tangible, focused and time-sensitive items to each priority. We're going to identify long, medium, and short-term milestones for each priority that you have. Sorry, I'm half reading, half thinking. The beauty of setting milestones is you start to create the opportunity to move towards things, to set more specific goals, and also to realize what the dream is. If you're one of those people that has the very lofty, visceral, emotive vision, but you've got no idea how to pin it down, this step between the big picture priorities and what it actually looks like, you may feel like you come down with a bang, like your feet hit the floor and you're like, oh my goodness, if I want to do this, I need to own the house in 5 years. I need to start my family in 2 years. I need to launch the dream job or the dream business or resign in the next 6 months. This is a beautiful way of actually starting to map out what your future looks like in a way that you can begin to work towards. But it's not as simple as this, and I'm not going to leave you with goals. I'm going to make sure you're supporting yourself as you go through them. So what we're going to do that is check that each milestone honors you, is supported by non-negotiables, and that you preempt any obstacles. If all this talk of non-negotiables is going over your head and you want to know more, we can share that resource with you later. But for now, knowing that they honor you and that you preempt any obstacles is going to be a huge support. So when it comes to milestones, we are going to Have one page for each big picture priority. Now, if you want to keep it digital, you can. If you want to go paper copy, I would suggest that you get a plastic wallet to keep these in. Because, as I said, unless you have a significant life-changing event, your vision and your big picture priorities aren't going to change very much from one year to the next. So this document, while live, is going to be quite a long-term one. So for each big picture priority, which you can conveniently pop here, you're going to look at long-term, medium-term, and short-term goals. So if you've written one down that feels good, pop it in at the top and slot in any milestones that feel right. And then comes the really good bit. You'll notice that the majority of this document is for this big space here in the middle and to the right. And that's because I'm not satisfied with stopping at milestones. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here and you guys could set your goals and move on to be successful or not. What we want to know with each milestone, does it honor you? Does it honor where you are now and the vision that you hold for yourself? Because if you've written down own my own house because that's the done thing, check in, are you actually honoring yourself? If you've written leave the corporate world and become a digital nomad, does that truly honor you, or is that just in vogue right now? Whatever milestones show up, really check in. Are you honoring yourself? And then moving on from that, do you have non-negotiables? Do you have structures in your everyday life that are going to support you in these milestones? Now, chances are for some of the medium and most of the long-term milestones, those supportive non-negotiables aren't necessarily going to be really specific right now, but with those short-term milestones, knowing that you've got daily actions that are going to support achievement will be really valuable. And then preempting obstacles. Even with the long-term milestones, what obstacles are going to present themselves in achieving these milestones? This becomes a really beautiful way not only to preempt the obstacles themselves, but also to preempt the fear, the limiting beliefs, and the anxiety that can bubble up as you begin to move towards these milestones. Oftentimes, fear is like a squirming monster in a dark alley. You've got to reach in, grab its tail, and yank it out into the light, only to realize that it's a bin bag with a broomstick sticking out of it. There's something about fear that until we shine a light on it, until we give it attention, it has the ability to grow and grow and grow. So by preempting the obstacles that will show up in the achievement of your milestones, you're also preempting the fear that will come along with them. And by doing that, you can navigate that process using fear as a tool, using it as a resource, and also just preparing yourself for the fear that's going to come up. The last piece there is your timeline. And this is important because in the sequence of living your life, and in the sequence of achieving the things that you want to achieve, 3 to 12 months is a big difference. 1 to 5 years is a big difference. And 5+ years, well, that's the rest of your life. So whatever milestones you can feel out and that you know are real right now, putting a timeline to those will be a real game changer. Do we have any questions around milestones? You know where to put them if you do. And I'm going to give you just another 30 seconds or so if you are madly scribbling down. So the next piece, our action plan. So now we can consciously craft an action plan with your big picture priorities, your milestones in mind, and overseen by this vision. So keeping your action plan on track and living aligned to your vision means honoring all of these priorities. This is going to be important, and you'll see why in a second. The 90-day action plan is then going to guide how you spend your week and your months. Depending on how you work, if you plan a month in advance, this action plan is going to allow you to do that. Or if you're a week by week kind of person, your action plan will allow you to do that too. With your action plan, we really want to stay within 2 to 3 large goals, and you'll see why. Our action plan, there's a lot going on here. Stick with me. This is going to be a document, if you embrace everything I'm sharing today, that is going to be front and center. This is the stick it on the fridge, have it taped to your desk kind of document. This is your 90-day sprint. This is making your milestones happen, honoring your big picture priorities, aspiring to the life you want to live. This is where we really hit the road. Completely butchered that analogy, but you know what I mean. So for each big picture priority, you're going to set 90-day goals. So if you have been filling this up as you go, look at your short-term milestones and maybe some of your medium-term milestones. What needs to happen in order to make these milestones a reality? And you're going to work across each area. Now, I appreciate in each column, there's 12 boxes. I'm not suggesting you put an item for every box, but people work differently, so you've got space here. Each big picture priority will have 90-day goals. Now, if you have got a big picture priority around work and career, and you've got 17 million goals to achieve in the next 3 months in order to hit the promotion or launch a new product in your business or whatever it might be, it's very, very easy to disregard the 3 or 4 other big picture priorities that are the expression of your vision. The amounts of times that I've seen people with a laundry list of things to do in 1, maybe 2 areas, and next to nothing in the others. Or worse yet, a million things in every single column, and the realization that you can't do everything. Bear in mind here, each of these columns is honoring your big picture priorities. And if you don't honor your big picture priorities, you are not honoring your vision. Being unbiased and stuck in one section of this document is really going to leave you in a place of dissatisfaction, of underwhelm, and of falling short of the vision that you hold for yourself. This is why 2, maybe 3 goals in each area are going to be what serve you best. We all know there's going to be areas in your life that demand more attention than others. But if you know there's an area of your life that is a big picture priority and you're struggling to find time for it right now, then it shows a need for some rebalancing. It shows a need to shift your focus, make space for all of the things that matter to you, not just the ones that you're making time for right now. And the last little piece that I've also included for you guys here is a monthly action list. If you don't have a way in which you manage your monthly tasks, this is a great way to do it. For me, things that make it onto this list are jobs that would take anywhere from a half day up to about a week, week and a half. So stuff that's going to get on here that needs to get done in order to honor the actions in the action plan above. Just like everything I do, You've got boxes here for obviously completing the task after you've set the due date. But SH, does it honor you? Non-negotiables. Do you have non-negotiables that support achieving this item? And have you preempted the obstacles that are going to block you in achieving it? I cannot tell you guys enough how important these things will be. Because checking in with whether or not you're honoring yourself will allow you to stay connected with what matters to you. And if you have a tendency to do the things you should do for other people's needs, demands, or expectations, this little box will be a game changer. And if you end up with a bunch of X's in here and they're actions you can't get out of yet, then having a non-negotiable, a self-support mechanism in place to support you in getting this thing done will help you stay connected to your vision. And last but not least, preempting the obstacles before they derail you will keep you on task and on plan. So, these are the resources that I have for you guys. But ultimately, these are simple pieces of paper. The work comes from you being brave, being courageous. And that starts with pinning down a vision, no matter how difficult that might be. For some of you, that's going to be the hard work. For some of you, it will be the big picture priorities. How do you either connect this innate ability to set goals to big picture priorities and ultimately a vision, or vice versa? How do you start to pin down your vision through big picture priorities? But this piece in the middle, establishing big picture priorities, is the tool that allows you to uncouple your vision and your milestones and action plan so that you keep that visceral, energetic, inspirational sense of who you want to become and start to build a plan to get you there. Before we wind things up, what questions do you guys have? What showed up? Would you like to share? Silence. Jessie, do you have anything you want to share?
Unmute myself. I love how thank you for sharing this structure for the first time. I love that you've called them big picture priorities. I think in my experience, that for most people is the missing piece. It's that I have this dream that feels so outrageous, but then there's all of this expectation on me. And then it's like trying to create a plan to get to that sort of end point feels impossible. And those big picture priorities sort of create that bridge to show what's really important to you, so that then when you're feeling that sort of external pressure and those things, you can look back at that big picture priority, or as I've always, it's like this, it's your values, like what are the things that really matter to you. And that's when, if you're getting pressure from like people in your life, like when I told my family that I was going to go and start a business and work in the fitness industry, and everyone's like, you're crazy, you're never going to make any money, you're just going to be poor forever. Gosh, but if I had done the things that I had been told to do by them, I would never have like been in alignment with my values and my big picture priorities. And And everything that I do now, I can say is in alignment with that. And it just brings you so much joy when you're in that place. And so I love that you've created this framework and given like a structure for people to create that for themselves. That's awesome.
Does anyone else have anything they'd like to share?
Yeah, so I always considered myself somebody who knows what they're doing and knows where they're going in life, but I never really look too far ahead. I only ever look at the next 3 to 6 months, which is why this call really called out to me. The visualization piece that you did at the beginning, I'm really confused. So the vision that I seen for the next 5 to 7 years isn't something that I ever imagined in my wildest dreams. And it's kind of like, so I've still got this short-term vision for the next 3 to 6 months, which I'm set on, and it does align with everything that I want. How do I work on both? Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. If you've got, first of all, well done for going there, because
well, thank you for taking me. But when I came out of it, I was like, no, that can't be. It can't be. But I've been thinking about it, and I'm like, oh, no, it makes sense. It does make sense.
And this is the thing, sometimes it's the beauty of hindsight that you get to the place that you aspired to get to, and you're like, how the hell did I get here? Why did I take the zigzaggy path when I could have taken the straight line?
Yeah.
And that having a vision that's not what you anticipated doesn't mean you can't honor where you are right now.
Mm-hmm.
So continuing with whatever the 3 to 6 months plans that you have are, but also allowing these new big picture priorities or this new vision to weave through what you're doing.
Yeah.
So what I would suggest you do, take the vision that's come to you and try and thread out what those big picture priorities are so that you've got what that looks like, and overlay what you've got going on, because the chances are, even if you don't see the direct connection right now, if you're doing what feels good and feels juicy right now, you'll figure out how it connects into what's going on.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is anyone feeling utterly bewildered? And be honest, because you've got me here and I've just thrown a lot of information at you. Nobody? Okay, great. Who feels that their vision has changed? Yep. Okay. Who feels they've got a clearer vision of what their vision is, a clearer sense of what their vision is? Razaher, you're shaking your head. Good job, Jessie. What's going on? Do you want to jump on and share? I'm not going to put you on the spot. If you don't want to, that's cool, but.
Okay, I'll try.
Okay.
I think I'm still stuck on the first stage, which is trying to figure out the vision. I understand how you presented it. Then maybe what I can look at is two sides. Look at what I want and look at what I don't want, and that way we can kind of slowly massage it towards a space where it's a little bit clearer.
Yeah.
I think I'm a very short-term vision based person, I guess. And so my points seem to always be extremely short-term, like even going out to that 1 to 3 months feels daunting. And if you look at what I do on my actions, my work, my family life, everything, if I were to look at that, they just don't align. They don't align because everything I do is more longer term, but everything that I think or visualize is extremely short term.
Okay.
So I'm still kind of stuck on that first step of trying to figure out, and maybe I just need to spend a little bit more time trying to answer some of those questions and figure out what is important, what is not important. And
And I think there's something in really finding your vision, because we're looking for something that is emotive. And so reaching into a space of, what do you dream of? What's the dream that you hold for yourself? Take out all practicality, take out all milestones and action points and everything else that's keeping you in this very tangible and real place. Throw that out. When you really strip it all back, what do you dream of? For yourself, for your family, for your work? Because by reaching into a dreamlike state, which is why visualization can be so powerful, you start to go beyond the metrics and the checklists and the real plannable elements, and you kind of throw everything up in the air and just see what floats and what falls. Whatever you can do to get out of your head is going to be valuable here. So if that's walking, sport, a bubble bath, whatever it might be, do what you can do to disconnect your mind and let your mind wander. I can send you some prompts that will help you with sort of more open-ended questions you can explore for your vision. Sure. But really trusting that and getting in a place that you leave timelines behind and metrics behind is going to be really valuable in that longer term vision.
Thank you. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
I think Jesse had something to say. Sorry, I think I cut you off.
Still muted there. Anybody else? All right. Cool. Well, go on, Jesse.
Did anything come up for you, Sana? She's been very quiet there, but I know that she's working.
It's on mute, so. No, actually, I'm in the same place. You gave us a lot of information, which I'm still processing and trying to figure out what I want my vision to be. Because I know everybody probably came in thinking I have to figure out how to get to my vision, but I did not have one coming into this. So I also wanted to figure out how to focus onto what I want, because I've just had a lot of changes and I am mentally all over the place. So yes, everything so far has helped me at least decide which direction I have to start thinking in, and how everything does need to honor me in a way. Because yeah, you're right about everything so far in my life has always been about society, family, all of that. So yeah, this is going to help me streamline my vision to what I need to do for myself. Yeah, I will also appreciate the questionnaire to understand what I would want to do as well.
And what I'm hearing with both of you, you both sound like you're very in your heads. And that's why at the start of the visualization, we get present in that analytical mind, in that very rational place, but then really try and sync your energy and your awareness into your body as well. You know, as much as we may think it, we are not brains on robot bodies. Our bodies have a lot of feedback for us. And when it comes to getting those visceral responses that I was talking about and really reaching into a dreamlike state, trusting your body is going to be incredible. And so if something like meditation feels good for you, embrace it. If it doesn't, things like walking, like exercise, just getting somewhere that your brain disconnects a little bit can be a really fruitful ground to start to reach into the dreamlike things. What would be possible if I didn't need a day job? What would be possible if I could live anywhere in the world? What would be possible? And it starts to stretch you into a place. And a vision will be an evolving thing. Those of us that have this very succinct, my vision is ... There's tens of hours behind these very beautifully crafted, worded little visions. And it starts with that, letting your mind clear and trusting yourself with what comes up. Anyone else? Does anyone else want to share anything? Don't want to leap away if anybody's got a question. They're about to hit unmute. All right, my lovelies. Well, I'm going to finish up with you then. I have something to share. So, if you would like to work with me, I have a coaching program called Step Into Your Power. This is my signature coaching program. It's a 16-week high-touch coaching program. I work specifically with successful but underwhelmed people. So people that find that they're underwhelmed by the life that they're living despite the success that they enjoy, not feeling inspired by the life that they're living, feeling beholden to other people's needs or expectations, and really just had enough. All too often, I hear stories of my clients that set out with a plan, they knew what they were going to achieve, and they arrived there and look around and realize this isn't what I expected, this isn't what I wanted. I'm honoring a different version of myself. This will be the last intake for Step Into Your Power for 2020. And I've got an exclusive offer for Shiro Life community members for you guys on this call today. It's 5,999 dirhams. For my non-UAE residents, that's about 1,600 US dollars. And this will be a saving of 1,400 dirhams. You will also get unlimited access to my course, Define Your Non-Negotiable Life. And yes, I know that Christmas is a bare matter of weeks away. So if you join now on this side of the new year, I will allow you a start date from now all the way until the 31st of February. So as I mentioned, Step Into Your Power, it's a 16-week fully coached curriculum. And I deliberately designed this program as a curriculum, so we don't just have 10 wonderful chats and you don't get anywhere. In this curriculum, I give you worksheets, tools, resources. What we work through today is just a fraction of what comes in the Step Into Your Power workbook. You'll have the tools throughout the program and access to me on WhatsApp and email to support you every step of the way. Plus, if you do join the coaching program in the next 24 hours, you will also receive a one-on-one coaching session with me, an additional coaching session that you can either use yourself or give to a friend, family member, loved one that you feel would benefit from it. Now, I'm aware this is a big ask if you have never met me or worked with me before, but if you would like to join the program and you would like to hop on a call with me to discuss it a little bit more, share with me what's going on for you, I'm more than happy to do that. I really want to help. I've seen some incredible results through this program, people rediscovering themselves, coming home to themselves and learning what it is to honor who they are now and who they want to become. And I would love to work with you guys. And last but not least, here is my contact information. Everything is Candice Ford Coaching. So you'll find my website, CandiceFordCoaching.com. I'm at Candice Ford Coaching on social, and Candice at Candice Ford Coaching is my email. So you have all the points of contact there. And please do reach out. Bringing vision into your life in a really meaningful way will change the way you see things and the way you show up for yourself. And it's scary and it's challenging, and I know it's tough. So I'm here for you guys, and I would love to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Candice, for sharing this today. I know it's been fabulous for me, and I'm sure it's been eye-opening for some of the others. I know for the few of you who mentioned that it is quite overwhelming sometimes the first time you actually stop and think, what is my vision? What do I even want? And it can also, I found it intimidating when I used to hear other people talking about these big, perfect visions. And I would think, how the hell do they know that? And like Candice said, it's like anything else. It's practice, and it's coming back to yourself and doing that. That sort of, it's like training. You're training the muscle. You get better at it the more you practice and the more you come back to it. And it's something that you have to keep doing because your vision grows and changes as you grow and change. And then, of course, that's why we're doing this at this time of the year, because it's the perfect time to do a review and see where you're at and if the directions you're taking are serving you for what you want. And then you can start making sure that you're taking those steps into the new year to live the life that is in alignment with the person that you want to be. So I highly recommend Candice if you are thinking about doing some coaching work. We also have 2 in-person events in Dubai. If you want to sort of dig a little bit more into vision, we're doing some 2 repeats of another vision planning session where you're actually going to get into a diary and go through a little bit more of like mind mapping and getting to like journal your way through a bit of a process. So it's a nice addition to what Candice has done. It might help you to get a little bit more clarity. And so those are the first week of December, and I will send out that information if you want to sign up. And yeah, thank you, Candice.
Thank you for having me. And guys, please do, if you have questions or you want to reach out and learn a little bit more, please do. I'm here to help, and it's not just a nice little chit chat, because this stuff can really shift not only your perspective, but the way you take on not only 2021, but life moving forward.
Mm-hmm.